In this video, the devs of Valor Mortis will share what they've learned after hundreds of thousands of players have played their demo. I'm Jared from Lyrical Games, and we are working on Valor Mortis, the first-person Souls-like set in a supernatural retelling of the Napoleonic Wars. The game is being made by One More Level, whose previous games were Ghostrunner and Ghostrunner 2. Together, we're launching the game on October 13th, and there's so much feedback from you that we've been addressing. In this video, the game director and the lead designer will cover your player impressions of combat, what areas they're improving and fixing, how they've been thinking about building the world of Valor Mortis, and lastly, a dev update for the last few months before launch. I won't keep you waiting any longer. Enjoy this devlog.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Radosław Ratusznik, I'm game director, and today I'm with Lukasz.
Hey, I'm Lukasz Wabik actually. And I'm lead designer at One More Level.
Today we have a couple of things that we would like to discuss together and to tell you more about some upcoming changes for Valor Mortis and also what we've learned through your feedback after you played the demo. And Lukasz, what did players like in combat in Valor Mortis?
Yeah, so of course we checked the service that we had in the demo. Thank you for participating into filling up this service. It was very helpful for us. The first place is for parry mechanic, which is not really surprising. Parries are one of the most favorite mechanics in video games in general.
Also in our previous titles, like in Ghostrunner 2, in Ghostrunner 1 also, there was this parry system that we elevate in Valor Mortis, and now it's bread and butter of the combat system.
We're super glad that you like it because, like Radosław said, it is a very important part of Valor Mortis.
85% of you pointed out that it's one of the best things in the demo. Of course, it doesn't mean that we are not improving it. We still are figuring out all the timings for each of the enemies, the synchronizations or something like that, because we know how important it is that you feel this parry, especially in the first person, which is new for many of you. But that will be another thing, because in general, that was the second thing, that you really like the melee combat in our game. It's also very good for us, because first person perspective and melee combat, it's a tricky thing, because there are a lot of challenges around it, right?
Yeah, obviously it wasn't that obvious to implement Souls-like, let's say, combat into first person games. We had to do a lot of things different. Yeah, again, we are happy that you like it.
So we also introduced the second weapon in the demo, which was the rapier. We're glad that you found it effective for certain enemies. We heard that it was super effective for you for the boss from the second level that we had in the game. It's good to try different things in our game to be the most efficient. So next we have critical hits and posture payoff. So landing critical hits, and I believe it's also connected with our animations for the executions, right?
I love those animations. They are brutal and crazy, but really satisfying.
We also added a couple of these critical animations. Now we are also working on certain animations for the other boss fights, for the other enemies. And then we are jumping to the boss fights, which are like very crucial things for all the Souls-like games. There was the General Lothar. We also introduced the new one, Aurelius, who transforms into this beastie version of him.
Version of
Neptoglobin
he got some extra hands during the boss fight. The first boss fight is a general test of what you learned during the first level. It's crucial to use different tools, guns to parry. You can ignite. There is a lot of dodging of attacks, jumping over it, shooting weak points, shooting bubbles while he casts some spells. And yeah, Aurelius is a bit different. He's like super focused on melee combat and on parrying. And yeah, rapier is a weapon that is more effective for parrying. We had even feedback that for some players the second boss, the Aurelius, was easier than Commander. And I think it was feedback from the players who are really good with parrying. They used rapier, invested some level ups into upgrading critical hits, and with that this boss can be killed pretty quickly.
It's quite obvious that we have like a first person game and people expect the good shooting in the first person. For us it was something new because our previous titles were not relying much, and you know, in the normal combat I think it's very useful, right? We have the weak points, we have you have a headshots.
Not only useful but fun, I think.
Yeah.
We try to put a lot of effort into making the shooting very satisfying. Good shooting animation, gun animations, pretty reloads, satisfying headshots.
Final point of it, the first person Souls-like works. and we are proving it in our game that you can expect the amazing experience, amazing Souls-like experience, even in first person. Of course, there are some differences, but there are a lot of good things that we can say about having this in the first person.
A lot of people ask us, is it possible to create first-person Souls-likes? And the answer is yes, it seems. I think we can prove that.
We are now in the polishing phase of the game. Any examples of what we are working on right now?
Things that repeated a lot was some of the attacks are still not clear and readable enough to land a parry or block. Another thing was that some of the attacks again have too big
Range,
damage triggers, which is also very true. So we're improving that. There was also a point that hitting some enemies is not as satisfying as it should be. We had a feedback that some of our attacks can't interrupt the enemy actions.
To stagger the enemy.
Yeah.
Then the boss battles. We have a couple more in the game. Do not spoil anything for you yet, but our goal for the boss fights was to just make them different from each other a bit. Also, we learned a lot through your feedback and watching all the videos that you posted. We were a bit surprised that you found the first one as more difficult, but it's also the thing that we are playing that game so many times that for us sometimes it's hard to tell. So we put the level number 7 right into the game. It's of course tweaked for the demo. It's not the same that you will experience in the campaign.
It was a bit easier.
Yeah, the next big thing for the demo was the performance of it and optimization.
Yeah, we can assure that this is very important for us because a game like this has to be responsive.
The demo was a beta version of the game. Now we are working on our final version. So we are polishing it like every day is a new changes. We are aware of the CPU optimization, there's a lot of space for improvements there. So we are checking also our enemies, how heavy they are for the performance. The whole tech team is super focused right now to improve it. It's already getting better and better with each day, so we'll be ready for October 13th. So the next thing I think that we can elaborate a bit about is the balance between platforming and combat, and I think the players are curious about how big part of the game is actually the platforming.
I would say it's rather addition to the big part, something that has to break the pace, to do something different than fighting enemies. We never planned to make them very difficult. It should rather be fun break that gives you some more exciting and cinematic moments.
We feel good about platforming in general because we have a lot of experience in it. So the jump button itself, how important it is for exploration.
Yeah, you can jump and you can grapple around.
Yeah, and I think also the verticality of the level.
And sometimes we combine that with the combat, as you could see in part of the level from the demo. So
the next thing is, what did people like about our game world? You mentioned in your surveys is the Napoleonic dark fantasy setting that felt unique. From the beginning, that was our goal, the Napoleonic Wars, and with this twist of Neftoglobin is something that we find out as being unique and fresh. Then there is atmosphere and mood. Almost 80% of you pointed out that this is one of the key elements that you enjoy the most about our game world. The amazing work of our art team, all the concept artists that were working on all the levels. You haven't seen all yet. Our game is huge for our capacities as not being like a AAA game. There are a lot of different environments that you can explore, and I think what's more important is that this mood, you feel this presence of Neftoglobin and how it is transforming this world into horror.
The world feels hostile, it's dark and grim, and we just know it fits the genre, right?
Then there is our lore and world building potential. Our goal is to build a world that we can expand on. This is just the beginning for us. We think that there is a huge potential in this game world to be developed further.
Yeah, definitely. We already have a lot of ideas where we can go.
Then visual identity. That was crucial for us to have some special designs of the enemies. So we have this body horror that is present, but also the gameplay, like the guy who has 3 hands and can throw the bombs from his bucket and got like 2 heads. The giant guy with the cannon in the middle of his head.
Again, it's interesting to take something historical, something realistic, and add that supernatural twist to create some grotesque monsters.
And then finally we have exploration and environmental storytelling. We are aware of how important it is to just be in this game world, not just read the dialogues or read the game notes, but just feeling this mood and the atmosphere and learning about the game world through this experience. That you can learn about what actually is Neftoglobin, how it is twisting this world by just seeing it.
It's very important in that genre again to have this possibility to get deeper into the world if you like to. For me personally, I think exploration in games is my favorite activity. I'm super happy we are creating a game where we actually have options to explore.
We have the small Metroidvania elements that you can revisit some levels. And you'll be playing the full game, just pay attention of what is blocked for you first, because it's very important that you should revisit some of the levels to gather all this lore. We are not holding the hand of the player very firmly. It's more like you should find out by yourself what are the secrets of our
there
game.
are many secrets to be found.
Yes. The last thing is, what are the next steps in development?
So of course we're still polishing the game, every aspect of it, combat, enemies, level design.
Each department is focused on their part of work. The first thing that we are focusing on is having the most stable and the most optimized version of the game that we can have for the day one. And also we are polishing several things, like starting from sounds, the music system, of course. So there are so many small things.
Balancing difficulty level.
Because, you know, for us sometimes the game feels too easy or sometimes too hard. So we are also running a few playtests. We have a lot of QA members who are joining also us to have like this fresh heads and fresh taste for the game. And we have, of course, to get rid of all the bugs or make the huge chunk of it before releasing the game. We are done with the game content, we are polishing the game right now, and we are focusing on delivering you the best possible experience. I think that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you for giving us feedback again. It's very important, and thanks to that we can make Valor Mortis better game.
Yeah, and see you in October.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this devlog. If you want to see more updates and trailers about Valor Mortis, subscribe here to Lyrical Games. Be sure to wishlist on Steam and consoles so that you'll be ready for our launch on October 13th.